The man who's actually good for you may not give you the feeling you're used to looking for. And that's one of the strangest things about healthy relationships. You're used to looking for chemistry. The butterflies. The constant texting. The feeling that someone can't get enough of you. But sometimes what feels like chemistry is actually uncertainty. You don't know where you stand, so your brain keeps checking. You don't know when he'll call, so every notification feels important. You don't know whether he's pulling away. So every little bit of attention feels powerful. And then someone stable comes along. He communicates. He follows through. He respects your boundaries. He doesn't make you chase reassurance. And part of you may think, where's the excitement? That's why knowing what to look for matters. Because a healthy man doesn't always announce himself with intensity. Sometimes you recognize him by how little emotional chaos you have to manage around him. So forget the charming words for a moment. Forget the perfect first date. Forget how strong the chemistry feels in the beginning. Instead, watch what he does when life stops being easy. Because that's where character becomes visible. Here are 8 signals that can tell you a man may actually be good for you. Signal 1, watch him on a bad day. Anyone can be wonderful when everything is going their way. The real question is who he becomes when it isn't. He's tired. He's frustrated. Something went wrong at work. You disagree with him. He's disappointed. Does the relationship suddenly change? Does his warmth disappear? Or is he still recognizably the same person? People have bad days. That's normal. A healthy relationship doesn't require someone to be cheerful every second. But there should be some emotional predictability. Attachment research helps explain why predictability can contribute to a sense of security. When you aren't constantly guessing which version of someone you're going to get, there's less reason to remain on alert. So if you regularly find yourself thinking, I'm glad he's in a good mood today. Pay attention to that feeling. A relationship shouldn't require you to constantly monitor someone's emotional weather. Signal 2, watch what happens when you say no. One of the fastest ways to learn about someone's character is to tell him no. No to a plan. No to something physical. No because you need time with your children. No because something simply doesn't feel right. He might be disappointed. That's human. But disappointment is not punishment. He doesn't guilt-trip you. He doesn't withdraw affection to make you pay for the boundary. He doesn't turn your no into proof that you don't care about him. He hears it. He respects it. And the relationship continues. That's especially important when you're a mother. Your time isn't always yours to give away. Your children may need you. Plans may change. You may need to move slowly because you're protecting a life you've already built. A healthy partner doesn't treat those things as obstacles standing between him and what he wants. He understands that they're part of who you are. A boundary doesn't tell a healthy man that he's losing control. It tells him where you end and where he begins. And the way someone responds to your boundaries can tell you more than the way he responds to your affection. Signal 3, watch what happens after he hurts you. Everyone makes mistakes. So don't judge a man only by whether he ever gets something wrong. Watch what happens afterward. Can he acknowledge his part without making you drag the apology out of him? Can he say, "I handled that badly. That was on me"? Or does every conversation become an explanation for why your reaction is the real problem? This is where accountability matters. And there's an important difference between apology and repair. An apology is words. Repair is what happens afterward. Does the behavior change? Does he remember what you told him? Does the same issue keep happening with a brand new apology attached to it? Research from John Gottman and his colleagues has placed considerable emphasis on repair, the ways couples recover after negative interactions rather than simply pretending the conflict never happened. That's why a good partner isn't someone who never hurts you. He's someone who can recognize the rupture, take responsibility for his part, and participate in repairing it. You shouldn't have to chase someone into becoming accountable. Signal 4. Watch whether he lets trust grow. As a single mom, you don't have to trust someone immediately. You shouldn't. You have more than your own heart to consider. You have a child. You have a history. And you have a life you've already built to protect. So watch what happens when you move slowly. A man who genuinely respects you doesn't treat your caution as an insult. He doesn't pressure you to prove your feelings. He doesn't rush the relationship because he wants certainty before you've had time to develop it. And he doesn't pressure his way into your children's lives before you've decided he's earned that place. He lets trust develop through experience. Because trust isn't created by someone saying, "You can trust me." It's created when someone repeatedly behaves in ways that give you a reason to. The right person doesn't demand access to parts of your life you haven't opened yet. He lets consistency create the invitation. Signal 5. Watch whether his life has real stability. Stability can look boring when you've become accustomed to intensity. No dramatic disappearances. No emotional roller coaster. No constant crisis. He says he'll call. He calls. He makes a plan. He follows through. Something changes. He communicates. That's not boring. That's predictable. And predictable is what allows you to build something. This doesn't mean he needs a perfect career, a huge bank account, or a life without problems. Real life is messy. People struggle. People go through difficult seasons. The question is whether he manages his responsibilities or whether his life constantly feels like one crisis after another. Can you reasonably depend on him? Does his word generally mean something? Does he take responsibility for his own life? Because stability isn't perfection. It's reliability. His life doesn't have to be perfect. But it should be possible to build alongside it. Signal 6. Watch him during conflict. You don't really know a relationship until you've disagreed. When everything is going well, almost anyone can appear emotionally mature. The test comes when you want different things. Pay attention to what happens then. Does he attack the problem, or attack you? Can he listen without treating your perspective as a threat? Can he disagree without turning the relationship into a competition? Decades of research by John Gottman and Robert Levinson examined how couples interact during conflict and found that patterns such as defensiveness, contempt, criticism, and stonewalling were associated with poorer relationship outcomes. Their work also emphasized the importance of positive interaction and the ability to repair after conflict. So the goal isn't to find a man who never argues with you. That's unrealistic. The better question is whether the two of you can disagree while remaining on the same side of the relationship. A healthy partner doesn't need to win every argument to feel secure. The goal isn't to win against you. It's to solve the problem with you. Signal 7. Watch how he treats your role as a mother. This is the signal that generic dating advice often misses. A man can be wonderful with you and still be completely wrong for your life. So watch how he responds when motherhood becomes inconvenient. Your child needs you. Your plans change. You have to leave early. You can't give him all of your attention. Your children become the priority in a particular situation. Does he understand? Or does resentment start showing through? Does he make comments about how much time you spend with your children? Does he act like they're competing with him? Does he expect you to prove that he's important by giving him less attention? And watch how he talks about your parenting. He doesn't have to agree with every decision you make. But disagreement can exist alongside respect. A healthy partner understands that your children aren't an obstacle between him and the woman he wants. They're part of the life he's choosing to enter. The right man doesn't ask you to become less of a mother so he can feel more important as a man. Anyone can say, "I love you." But the way someone responds to the responsibilities attached to loving you tells you much more. Signal 8. Watch the pattern, not the promise. On screen, do his words and actions match? And this may be the most important signal of all. After everything we've talked about, there's really one question underneath all of it. Do you have to interpret him? Do you have to decode his texts? Explain his behavior? Translate his promises? Convince yourself that what he meant was better than what he actually did? Because words are easy. Especially at the beginning. Anyone can tell you what you want to hear. But over time, behavior becomes harder to fake. He says he'll call. He calls. He says he respects your boundaries. His behavior proves it. He says your children matter. His actions reflect that. He says he's sorry. Something actually changes. That's the difference between a promise and a pattern. And that's why you should evaluate a man over time, not just during the honeymoon stage. Watch the pattern. After disappointment. After conflict. After he doesn't get his way. Because when someone's words and behavior consistently live in the same place, you don't have to spend the relationship solving a mystery. His behavior answers the question for you. Closing, you're not looking for perfect. You're looking for real. None of these 8 signals are about finding a perfect man. Perfect doesn't exist. A healthy man can still have bad days. He can make mistakes. He can disappoint you. He can misunderstand you. He can get things wrong. The difference is that his mistakes don't require you to abandon your own judgment to keep loving him. You don't have to become a detective. You don't have to constantly analyze his mood. You don't have to chase reassurance. You don't have to explain away behavior that keeps hurting you. And you don't have to confuse emotional chaos with emotional depth. Sometimes the healthiest relationship will feel different from the relationships that taught you what chemistry was supposed to feel like. It may feel quieter, slower, less dramatic. And at first, Maybe even unfamiliar. But unfamiliar doesn't mean wrong. Sometimes it simply means your mind is learning what consistency feels like. So don't just ask yourself, how strongly do I feel about him? Ask something deeper. How do I feel about myself when I'm with him? Do you feel like you can speak honestly? Can you say no? Can you be a mother without guilt? Can you disagree without fear? Can you trust what you see? Can you relax without constantly checking whether the relationship is still safe? Because you're not looking for a perfect man. You're looking for a man whose presence doesn't require you to abandon your own judgment. And when his behavior consistently gives you reasons to trust him, you won't have to convince yourself that he's good for you. You'll be able to see it. Because recognizing healthy behavior is only half of the picture. The other half is knowing what should make you stop, even when the chemistry is strong. In the next video, we're going to talk about 7 red flags a single mom should never ignore when falling in love. Because sometimes the hardest red flags to see are the ones we desperately want to explain away.